Hello, everybody. With the new Descent of Dragons expansion just a few days away, I thought I'd put out my own official card review. So let's get right into it. First, let me explain how I'm going to be rating these cards. So I'm not going to rate these cards by stars or tiers or anything like that. I'm just going to put them in several different categories. The first of which is competitive. And to me, that means the card will be in a tier 1, 2, or 3 deck fairly consistently. So that's my definition of a competitive card. And just below competitive, we have what I would call the fringe cards. These are cards that are sometimes in competitive decks, but alternate in and out of them. So still a good card, but not quite the cream of the crop of the competitive cards. So that's a fringe card. And then below the fringe cards, we have the garbage cards. These cards, you can call them pack filler, you can call them arena cards. These cards will not be in competitive decks consistently at all. So that is the definition of a garbage card. And then below the garbage cards, we have the tech cards. These are cards that are definitely only meta dependent if they'll ever see play. So there's only a few of these, but I thought they deserve their own separate category because they may be in competitive decks later down the line if we need to tech against something that's oppressive. And lastly, what I'm looking forward to the most, the meme and combo cards. So there aren't very many of them this expansion, but I'll try to highlight some and give you a few of my thoughts on some of the more special cards of the set. So let's get into it. So bird's eye view for Mage, I definitely got some dragon support and elemental support of all things. So there's some very interesting Mage cards. So let's dive right in. The first card is a 1 mana spell called Arcane Breath. It's deal 2 damage to a minion. If you're holding a dragon, discover a spell. So it's a very interesting card. Obviously goes in a dragon deck very easily, very competitive in a dragon deck. But even if it's not in a dragon deck, say you're playing like a Mana Cyclone deck, or even getting this off like a Magic Trick or something, it's not great, obviously, if you're not playing a dragon deck, but still, 1 mana deal 2 damage to a minion, not completely garbage. So it's kind of a very small, stealthy nerf to Mana Cyclone and Magic Trick, but still not even that bad, honestly. Discovering a spell in Mage is pretty much always guaranteed to give you something good. There are a few bad Mage spells right now, but the majority are very nice. It's a very solid card in a dragon deck, and it's also a solid card even in a deck that just wants to use small spells to generate value. So it's a good card. The next card is a very interesting one. It's the 1 mana side quest for Mage, Elemental Allies. Side quest, play an elemental 2 turns in a row, reward, draw 3 spells from your deck. The requirement's kind of interesting because you wouldn't think that Mage plays all that many elementals right now, and they don't. I mean, they have Mana Cyclone, and there's a few new elementals coming that we're about to review in a second. But the reward for this is so insanely powerful that this kind of has to be considered. I think this is a very competitive card in a burn Mage style of deck because drawing 3 spells is so incredibly powerful. Of course, we're losing Flamewaker right now from standard, but I think Wild's going to have a fun time with this one as well. Very powerful card, very competitive. The other side quest for Mage is a 1 mana Learn Draconic. Side quest, spend 8 mana on spells, reward, summon a 6/6 dragon. This card initially seems really, really powerful. It's a 1 mana 6/6, but it's really, really delayed. This is one of those cards, like if you hit it early, then yeah, it's a lot of value. But if you hit this on turn 8 or something, or turn 9, I mean, the requirement's not a lot to spend 8 mana on spells, but it's one of those cards like you have to hit early to make it worthwhile. And if you don't, it's really debatable if you even want it in your deck. I would say this card is fringe playable. I think this easily goes in like a quest mage, but I'm not sure it really goes in that much else. I'm not sure you need this card. This is one of those cards that you actually probably don't want to play in your deck. It's one of those cards you want to generate randomly from like a Mana Cyclone or something. So I would say this card is fringe competitive in like a quest mage, but very, very fringe. Not fantastic. This next card's very exciting. It's a 1 mana 1/1 elemental for Mage, Violet Spellwing, Death Rattle, add an arcane missile spell to your hand. Very powerful, very versatile. I think we'll see this card a lot. It's great in Burn Mage, it's great in any kind of Mana Cyclone deck. It just has a lot of things going for it. It's an elemental, which obviously helps with the side quest we just talked about. So it's incredibly, incredibly versatile and strong. Very competitive. Looking forward to this card. I think there's some good combo potential with this card as well. If you can generate a lot of extra arcane missiles, you can do some fun missile mage combos, maybe with Malagos or maybe with another spell damage card we're going to talk about shortly. So, very interesting card. Looking forward to it. The next card is the first Mage Legendary minion. It's a 3 mana 2/5 elemental, Shenvala. I think that's how you say it. After you cast 3 spells in turn, summon a 5/5 elemental. Really, really strong. It's somewhat reminiscent of the old priest weapon, but this has a decent stat line and it's an elemental. It's just it has so much going for it with what Mage has access to right now in terms of like Mana Cyclone and cheap spell decks. It's very, very strong, and I think it will almost certainly see play in a competitive deck. It is just it's too well statted and has the elemental tag. It just has so much going for it that it's going to be seen. It is going to be very, very strong. I like it a lot. Super good. Alrighty, next card for Mage is a 4 mana 2/3 Dragon, Azure Explorer, spell damage +2, Battlecry Discover a Dragon. I mean, absolute auto include in Dragon Mage, which seems like it will be viable. It seems like it has the potential to exist. We're going to talk about some of the more powerful dragons in just a second, but this one is one that obviously helps with the synergy of having the dragon in hand. So, and the spell damage +2 is nothing to laugh at, especially if you're playing the 1/1 elemental we just talked about. So it's incredibly strong, very easily playable in competitive decks. Also, it's one of the cuter cards of the set, if that's important to you. Alrighty, Mage's other legendary minion is a big boy. It's a 5 mana 2/8 dragon, Malagos, Aspect of Magic. Battlecry, if you're holding a dragon, discover an upgraded mage spell. And you're probably asking, what's an upgraded mage spell? Well, I'll show you. So here are the 9 upgraded Malagos spells. I would say all of them are good except for 2. I would say Malagos' Nova is pretty subpar, and Malagos' Explosion is pretty tame compared to the other ones. Even Frostbolt's kind of tame as well. But the fact that it's a Discover means you're likely to get what you need or what you want anyway. There's also some great combo potential with the missiles, with the Frostbolt, with the Fireball. So there's some good burn options there for us OTK lovers. So I like Malagos a lot. I think it's going to be seen competitively easily in and out of dragon decks. I mean, obviously you need some dragons to make it work, but I don't think you have to run a specifically dragon-centric deck to just run Malagos. You could probably just run a couple dragons and it would still be okay. So I like it a lot. Very, very strong card. Very fun card. Alright, next for Mage, we have a 5 mana spell called Rolling Fireball. Deal 8 damage to a minion. Any excess damage continues to the left or right. So very reminiscent of Meteor, but is so unbelievably worse than Meteor. It just goes to show you how powerful Meteor was. This isn't a bad card. I still like this card, and I think it will see play. I think this card will still definitely see play in a control style mage, even Highlander mage. I think it's still a good removal option, but it's just so funny how significantly worse this card is than Meteor. But Meteor's long gone, and now we have Rolling Fireball. What can you do? What can you do? It's still good. It'll still see play. I like it. Alright, next for Mage we have a 6 mana 4/4 called Dragoncaster. Battlecry, if you're holding a dragon, your next spell this turn costs 0. Very cool card, very, very good combo-oriented card. I like this one a lot too. There's some good OTK meme potential with this one. I wouldn't say this is necessarily super competitive, although I think it will be fringe competitive, but I'm considering it more of a, as for my purposes, as more of a meme combo card. I know during the live stream reveal, Crip talked about this with Dean using this with the Pocket Galaxy, which is kind of a funny idea. But there's a lot of good spells you can use with this, and I'm excited to play it. So hopefully some good OTKs and combos out of Dragoncaster. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, another giant for Mage. 8 mana, 8/8 elemental as well. Mana giant. Costs 1 less for each card you played this game that didn't start in your deck. That isn't a super lofty requirement anymore, especially with Mana Cyclone and even just with a new elemental that gives you the arcane missiles. I mean, that counts as well. So I don't think this is that hard to get to a reasonable mana cost, let alone a 0 mana cost. So I think we'll see this guy quite a bit, and the fact that it's a new elemental also matters quite a lot as well. So I think this naturally fits in like any old style Mana Cyclone deck or anything just that generates a lot of spells like Quest Mage specifically. So definitely competitive. Almost scary. Almost a scary card there. So yikes. So overall, looking at Mage, Arcane Breath, very solid in Dragon Mage, and not terrible even if you discover it outside of Dragon Mage. Elemental Allies, very, very strong. I like that card a lot. Definitely competitive. Learn Draconic. I'm not that jazzed about Learn Draconic. I think it's just very, very okay. And I don't think it's a card you necessarily want to put in your deck. So I would say it's on the border of fringe garbage, honestly. Violet Spellwing, great card. Looking forward to that one. Good combo potential as well. Very competitive. Shunvala, Very, very strong, very competitive. Azure Explorer easily goes in Dragon Mage and has a little bit of combo potential because it does have the ability to be reduced and it has good spell damage, so good combo potential as well, and very cute. Malagos, great dragon card even outside of dragon decks, assuming you have at least one other dragon. Upgraded spells are very neat. I'm looking forward to hopefully doing some cool combos with them. A Rolling Fireball, decent removal, laughable compared to Meteor, but still competitive in that sense. Dragoncaster, good in a dragon deck, but I'm looking forward to more of the meme potential of that card, so I like it a lot. It's basically like an extra Caligos, really. And then Mana Giant is scary. I'm a little afraid that Mana Giant's going to be OP. There's going to be more 0 mana 8/8s running around, but we'll see. We'll see. But overall, I'm really excited for the Mage cards. I think Mage probably has some of the most fun cards for my purposes of the entire set. So looking forward to it. Very, very satisfied with the Mage cards. I think there's a lot to look forward to in terms of Dragon Mage, in terms of spell generation Mage like Mana Cyclone Mage. There's a lot of good combo possibility with Burn Mage as well. So exciting stuff. I appreciate you guys watching the review and look forward to the next one. Thank you guys.